Hello, I'm Maddie Harvey from Maddie Harvey Designs. If you're watching on the replay later, hello, it's Thursday morning. I'm just waiting for some people to jump on the live. I'm based in Edinburgh where it has been snowing overnight, just a little bit, a little sprinkling of snow, which was quite nice to wake up to, but it's very slippy on the pavements. So, as I say, I'm Maddie Harvey. I'm a knitwear designer and knitting teacher, and I like to help knitters develop their creativity and their knitting confidence through my patterns, kits and workshops, which are now all online, as these things are at the moment. I have just ran my first online knitting retreat on Sunday there. We had a bit of a knit and natter session in the morning, which was really lovely, and then in the afternoon Louise Scully from the Woolwork podcast did a fantastic workshop all about substituting yarn, which we had to do a couple of little swatches for, which was very interesting. And although designing patterns and things, I learnt quite a lot from that. So I think there'll be some more of these online knit retreats coming up in the future. So I've got my cup of coffee this morning. I call this series of Thursday videos Knits and Cake for Breakfast because before lockdown I was running a weekly knit night, and I would always do some baking, and then on a Thursday there'd be some leftover cake and I would eat a bit for my breakfast. But I haven't got any baking today because I thought there was a piece. I had made flapjacks on Sunday for the knit retreat, and I thought there was one piece left, but when I went into the tin this morning there wasn't any left at all. So somebody has obviously eaten the last piece, got there before me. So I've just got my cup of coffee, and what I usually do in these videos is share with you what I've been working on this week, and give you some kind of tips or little hints to help with your knitting. So and actually this week I can't really show you what I've been working on because it is a bit of a secret. It's the pattern that I'm working on for Claire from Cookston Crafts, who is busy getting together an amazing Hogmanay treat box, which I think will be available to buy quite soon. And she's dyed up special yarn in a sort of one-off colourway, exclusive colourway, and it's a surprise, so that's why I can't show you. And she asked me to design a pattern for it. So if you've watched last week's video, and I think probably the week before, I have shared a little bit of my design process in those videos, and now I've started knitting the actual samples, so I can't show you because it's in the yarn. But what I will say is the yarn is absolutely gorgeous, and the colours are right up my street, and I'm really enjoying working on them. So that will be coming, maybe not next week, the week after. So look out for that. But I think Claire will have orders open for the boxes quite soon. So she's Cookston Crafts, and she'll have lots of other goodies in there too. I think it's not just yarn; it's like a treat box. So that might be worth having a look at. But I don't know if you've got a yarn advent calendar on the go. I've been enjoying opening mine, but although mine, I'll show you. Mine is, I'm not going to show you the yarn just yet. I'll give you a little spoiler in case you've got the same one as me and you haven't opened it yet. I got, this is going to be back to front, but the 12 Days of Christmas charity selection box, which was organised by Giddy Yarns, Helen from Giddy Yarns. And so it's not quite an advent calendar because it's only got 12. And there's 12 different dyers, which is really nice. So I've got 12 little parcels that they all came wrapped in a little spotty bag like this, and I've got them pegged up on a line, and I'm just opening one every other day. So I wasn't sure actually if this one was like an advent calendar or if it was to be opened on the 12 days of Christmas, so like starting on Christmas Day and opening one each day after that. But my kids have got an advent calendar, and I was feeling a little bit like, oh, I want to put mine up, so I just decided I was going to do it as an advent calendar. So if you have got this box, you might want to just look away or fast forward a little bit. I'll show you the yarn, but I won't talk about them too much in case you want to just look away but listen to the audio. So this was the first one. This was number 1. And these are 20-gram minis. So actually it's quite a lot of yarn in there. So that was the one I opened on the 1st. And then I opened one this morning, which I'll show you the label there. And this is the colour of that one. So actually they go together quite nicely. And I'm not going to say too much about the colours in them, just in case anybody was looking away. So I think what I'm going to do is, I couldn't decide whether to make one of my own advent patterns, which is this is the Sos Cowl that I'm wearing, or whether to knit something else. And I have been dying to make one of these sort of, you call them dickies. So it's like a cowl, but it has a piece that hangs down the front, and you sort of like wear it underneath your coat. And I've had a real hankering to knit one, so I'm just gonna cast on some stitches, and I've got a bit of a plan. I've sketched out a schematic sort of how I'm gonna do it. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stripe the yarns that are in my advent calendar with some dark grey Jameson and Smith jumper weight that I've got, that I use in some of my kits, because I think that pretty much goes with everything. And I'm just going to stripe them and do some slip stitches and knit a piece that probably goes all the way down your front, so you can tuck it in to whatever you're wearing, and then it will have like a cowl neck or a polo neck, and then hopefully I've got enough yarn to make it go down the back as well, so it'll be a bit like a sleeveless vest but without any sides or any sleeves, obviously. So that's my plan at the moment, but I'm not sure. Sometimes sometimes I don't have enough time to do other knitting besides any kind of design work that I've got on the go, so I'll just see how I get on. I haven't cast on yet, but I will. So if you're still looking for an advent project, I have got two here to show you that they're on 10% off at the moment, or 15% off for mailing list subscribers. So the code is MHD _ advent15. I will put it in the comments below if you're watching the replay. It will be in the, not in the comments, in the description. So this one is called Choose Colour, and it's knitted in the round, so it's like double layered that way, and it's got a textured panel, and you stripe your minis or your scraps of yarn, and so it means that everything is sort of gets a bit blended in there. And it's got lots of tips and photos in the pattern to show you, give you ideas of sort of what order, if you're using scraps, which order to knit them in. Oh, I can see Mimi is on the live and she's saying she's just cast one on. Hi Mimi. So that's a good one, and you can make it, it's got different sizes, so you can make just like a single loop or you can make a double loop. So that one has 10% off until Sunday. And then the other one is called Patience, because Advent is all about being patient for Christmas. And it's knitted the other way, so it's a big loop. So you have to cast on a lot of stitches at the beginning, but you know, use some stitch markers, cast on 50, put a stitch marker, cast on another 50, put a stitch marker, and just break it down. And it's got this sort of swirl of reverse stocking stitch. And again, this one is done with striping the minis or the scraps of yarn, and that's a double loop. But that one you could keep going with that, you know, the depth of it's not set, you could just keep going. So that one also has 10% off. And then this is one that I have released to my mailing list subscribers only at the moment. This is called the Sos Cowl, So SOS, well, meaning I think we're all in need of a little bit of a sort of knitterly rescue at the moment. But also it's SOS standing for Scrappy Old Shale Cowl. So I've used scraps to do this one, and the lace patterning is called Old Shale. So if you are a mailing list subscriber, I have sent out a couple of emails with a link to this to download this, but I think not everybody has got it when I look at my statistics. So go back, maybe it's gone in your spam box. Have a wee look, see if you can. Not quite sure what happened. Hopefully everybody's still there. So I thought I would share with you today. I've just launched some beginner knitter kits this week, and so I was kind of thinking Christmas presents. Sometimes people either give a beginner knitter kit or they're helping somebody learn to knit. I thought I'd give you some tips about doing that, because one of my other jobs is teaching knitting classes locally to me in Edinburgh, and I have taught a lot of beginner knitters in the past 7 years. So I thought I would share some of my top tips if you're teaching somebody to knit, or if you're a beginner knitter. So my first one is about the sort of materials that you use. So I think it's nice for beginner knitters to have nice things, nice tools and nice yarn to use, because it really helps them. It doesn't, if they have something that's hard to work with, it's a bit off-putting, and you want it to be a positive experience, because learning to do the stitches can be a bit fiddly, and it can be a bit tricky. So if you have nice things to knit with, that makes it easier. So I would recommend, these are 10mm needles, but something big and chunky, 10, 9, 8mm needles, and equivalent yarn. So I see I've forgotten to bring it over, but I use Rowan Big Wool, which is super bulky. So it means that when you cast on, that you can see all the stitches really, really easily. If you make a mistake, you can see where that's happened. It's just much easier, and you don't need to cast on a lot of stitches. Okay, so that's my first tip, is to choose some nice materials and go big needles and big yarn. And my second tip is to just sort of keep going. Just take it one stitch at a time, and just it does take a time to learn to knit, and I think as experienced knitters we just do it so quickly, and it's so automatic without thinking about, and we make it look easy, and it is easy once you know what to do. But when you first start, you do have to just take each stitch one little movement at a time and just break it down and just keep going. And if you make a mistake, it's okay. You have to be kind to yourself, and if you're teaching somebody else to knit, it's okay for them to make a mistake, and actually I'd be quite inclined just to leave it, unless it's like really drastic, or they're really bothered by it, because there's nothing more demoralising for a learner knitter than somebody ripping back their knitting. And actually in the kids' classes that I teach, well, when I was teaching them in real life, we're now online, but if I ever needed to rip back something because it was a real drastic mistake, I would always knit it back up to where they got to, because I think it's so demoralising for beginner knitters to have their knitting ripped back, and they want to make progress, they want to have a finished object, especially when they're just very, very beginning. It's important to get something off the needles and finish, so they can see what knitting's all about. It's about the process, but it's also about the finished thing. So that would be my second tip. My third tip was, and this is a bit more difficult these days, but to try to connect with other knitters. There's lots of other knitters out there, and when I've been running my knit nights in person, and we're online now, what people really enjoy is connecting with other knitters, and even people who are very experienced knitters have gained a lot out of talking about knitting with other knitters, and they really learn a lot from that. So if you can connect with other knitters in other ways, then that is a great way to develop. So I've got my beginner knitters kit are in my folksy shop just now. There's a kids one and there's an adults one. So the kid one has got lots of little balls of the Rowan big wool, so you can make little things like this little puppet. And it comes with access to Rowan Yarns have a great online kids knit course, and the kit also has some sort of haberdashery things to help decorate, and there's loads of little projects in the online course. So that's what you get with the kids one. And the adults one comes with a book, a Learn to Knit book, this one, which is a really good one, and also access to the kids course, because actually the kids course is really good for anybody learning, whether you're a grown-up or a child, but in the adults kit you get enough of the Rowan big yarn to make a beanie like this one, and you can add in an alpaca pom-pom. So they're over in the folksy shop. They've got 10% off at the moment, along with all my other kits, and the code for that one is MHDXJM. I'm taking part this week in online Christmas market with Janet Murray, who is a marketing guru, and so the code is for those kits in the folksy shop is MHDXJM, and yeah, I think that's me. So hope you're enjoying your advent calendars and your advent knits, and I'll let you get on with the rest of your Thursday, and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye.